Ladies and gentlemen, it's been quite some time, a minute, as they would say, since I did a foreign film for you on these weekly reviews. So we're going to correct that tonight and break it open with a foreign film for you. And tonight's lesson plan contains all of the foibles that I have detailed in nauseam with a Japanese filmmaking. That said, it does deliver what you would expect from a Japanese action flick, and it certainly contains all of the elements that a Japanese audience craves, and those who like Japanese films. Cinematic class is about to begin, and your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, another sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies. And tonight's lesson plan is a film called Revolver Lilly. It is available now on most of the streamers, so you can catch it and eyeball it at your leisure. You know, once upon a time, Yuri was one of Japan's deadliest assassins. But she's retired now, gotten a little older and retired. And she spends her days running an underground brothel. Hey, girls got to make money, right? This is a rather common theme for Asian cinema, the deadly female assassin. And it's always much more palatable in the Japanese version because their female assassins are not 95-pound waifs who have relative ease in throwing around 300-pound men. They do that here to keep all the little girls happy, but it doesn't wash in Asian cinema, and thankfully it doesn't. Their assassins are generally rather nefarious. They will poison people. They will use their wiles to trick people. They are deadly, not in the fact that they can, overcome men. They are deadly in the fact they can actually outwit almost anyone, and that truly makes them very dangerous. It was just a little while ago. I did a review on a movie called The Old Woman with the Knife. And this was also a Japanese movie that was about a retired female assassin. And her, I guess, modus operandi would be she would sneak up behind people and knife them, rather than confront them face to face. And she was long retired. And this movie, if you recall my review, was played for laughs. It was a comedy, and it did have quite a few chuckles in it, especially with this much older woman trying to recapture her youth and being forced into doing things that she long ago gave up. This movie, Revolver Lily, is certainly not a comedy. It is played directly for action. And Yuri, who is relaxing, running this brothel, receives a news report about one of her former colleagues, and he has died under rather mysterious circumstances. That situation doesn't sit quite right, and when Yuri investigates, she discovers that the dead man's son is now the target of a military manhunt. This military manhunt pits the Army against the Navy. Oh, things start getting really strange at this point. But Yuri has promised she will do whatever it takes to keep him safe.
長い夜の土産話にお教えしましょうか。台湾で特殊な戦闘能力を持つスパイを養成していました。小曽根は重原が生んだ最高傑作です。
機密文書とガキを必ず連れてこい。
力なくして国を守ることなどできる。
生きることにしたから。
Revolver Lilly.
Okay, it's time for me to really butcher some names here. The movie in front of the camera, the movie stars Ayashi Hakura. She plays Yuri. The film also stars Hasegawa Hiroki. Now, that name may sound familiar because he starred in Shin Godzilla. You may recall Shin Godzilla was, well, it kind of bombed over here in America. People didn't like the whole concept of the various phases of the Shin Godzilla. But over in Japan, the movie was a tremendous hit, primarily because of the political tones and the political themes that were running through the story. I think they appreciated that more than they did the alteration of Godzilla in that movie. Also in this is Hamura Jinsei, Shishido Kawaka. You might remember that name from A Trillion Game, another popular movie, and Fuyukawa Kotone. Those are the people in front of the camera. They all do a fine job.
細身か。後ろから援護する。行け。撃て。下がるな。早く行ってください。
All right, let's butcher up a few more names here. Behind the camera, Isao Yukasada was the director of Revolver Lilly. He is well known in Japan, and his name alone attached to this project would ensure a sizable box office theater return. The movie was written for the screen by Tatsuo Kobayashi, but he took the movie version of this from the original novel, which went under the same name, Revolver Lilly, and the original novel was written by Kyo Nagara.
Why?
全員立て。
あの声。
両手を上げろ。 書類を出せ。
命を保証してくれるのなら書類を渡す。できないのなら川に捨てる。
裏切り者！これは絶対に渡さない。父さんと約束したんだ。
なら撃てば？
仲間割れは済んだか
8、7、6、5、4、3、2。舵を切って！
So, in conclusion, I can tell you right off the bat, this movie is way too long. This is a foible of all Asian cinema. They just don't know how to end their movies, and I've said this repeatedly. And this one goes on for way, way too long. There are jammed into the story too many subplots. I think what may have happened here is the translation from novel to screen. You know, you have to be very judicious in what you keep and what you don't. And I believe they tried to keep too much of the novel in the movie, and they probably didn't need to do the. You know, Tom Hanks's movie, The Da Vinci Code, they did the same thing. They tried to keep too much of the novel in the movie, and as a result, it bogged down the movie. And that same thing happens right here. There is in this story, and certainly I'm not an expert on Japanese politics, but there seems to be some fragmented and misguided patriotism here as we are actually pitting the army against the navy. And you know, the movie picks one side over the other, painting one as good and one as bad. I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing for your country to go playing in that type of a ball field, but nonetheless, it's in there, and it I would think would cause a little bit of consternation, especially for anyone who is heavily involved with the army. Now, at the end of this movie, there is an absolutely ridiculous gauntlet. In fact, do you remember the movie The Gauntlet with Clint Eastwood? Okay. You remember how silly that movie was at the end with the bus and everything? Yeah, was absolutely ridiculous. Not one of Eastwood's better movies. This one is worse, okay? You have Revolver Lilly with her revolver and roughly 6 bullets, and you have the entire army and the entire navy, and it gets really ridiculous. I'm not going to say it's nothing we've never seen before, because the Japanese are very akin to putting their heroes and protagonists in practically impossible situations and having them somehow miraculously make it to the end. And this movie certainly does that because the virtues that our retired assassin has is what is important and which must come to the forefront, obviously. Okay, but the action in this, in depicting Japanese heroism, is way too over the top, and really affects a lot of the credulity of the plot and what have you. So it's it's not done in a way that you can make light of it and think that it's silly, but at the same time, it's very silly. It's just no way any of this would happen. Revolver Lily is the name of the movie. And now that you have learned what you have learned,